Hello everyone, how you guys doing? Welcome back to the official Nick Walsh TV channel. Welcome back to more Spinning Goes. on a Thursday. How you guys doing? So, look at the room. Look at the room. There's stuff in the room. This is not attached to the wall yet, you guys. This is just a small collection of random stuff that is going to live in here eventually. We don't know in what order. We got a picture of my friend Simon down here you can't see. We got the OG NWTV design here, which actually isn't even the final design. We got the current NWTV design up here that was sent to my friend my friend Kiwi Sean. Warhol's Campbell Soup. We have a Ruthie original. Look at this bad boy. Isn't this beautiful? And I just thought I would put something in the background. I'm so sick of seeing that white wall. It's not attached to the wall. Ruth, if you're watching this, I know you're in the chat. It's not stuck to the wall, okay? It's all good, babe. Everything's going to be fine. In addition to that, guys, I had to hang up the laundry. The laundry is actually hanging just here out of sight. And it's doing a really good job of doing that noise damping that we were describing, so it's actually not as echoey. I kind of want to do an experiment really quick. All right, one sec, guys. I'm inspired. Give me a moment. Okay. This is a little bit unconventional, but bear with me, chat. Bear with me. Slightly unconventional technique. I'm going to experiment using cushions from the sofa to see if I prefer the acoustic here with small sound absorption materials. Tests. That's pretty good. It's pretty good, guys. In any case, it is actually really nice to see something other than a white wall. The idea is we're going to cover this wall with a very eclectic amount of art. It's going to be a bunch of different things that we've collected over the years. And we're going to go from there. This noise sounds so much better. Oh my gosh. When we have the new mic stand and we get some noise dampening in here, it's going to be fantastic. I cannot wait. Hello, everybody in the chat. Shout out to Tom, Kickseed. Joni is here. Sensitive Tony is here. Demo is here. John Edwards is in the chat. Hello, John Edwards. Hello, welcome back, Crazy, as well. And you guys get the idea. It's just a bit more something going on in the background, you know what I mean? Like a little collection of things that we've seen over the years. I think getting a calendar would be nice, Tom. I'm not with you. I'm not, sorry, I am with you. I think a calendar would be fun, and keeping it absolutely not up to date is part of the fun of that as well. It's starting to feel more like a streamer's space, and it's starting to, it sounds like it now too as well. I think 2 foam sound absorption panels built into the wall here doesn't obstruct the room. The rest is art. I think that's going to work really nicely. Anyway, fireball to start the day. I don't know. Oh, did you... The fireball experiment? No. It's actually more boring than that. These are cushions from the living room. I just wanted to test if it made a difference to the caw. It's a little bit echoey still. I think we can do better. Anyway, hello everyone. How you guys doing? I am online slightly earlier than usual today because my uncles are visiting from the United States, and they're going to drive down and they're going to visit Brighton. They're going to come say hi. So I wanted to get online and put in some grind before we proceed. And I guess we should just get straight down to it. Let's fire up one table. We might fire up 2 tables today, in fact, because we do have some volume to get through. Before we do that, let's take a look at the chip graph so far this year. And there we go. That is what we're working with. We are technically winning EV. We're not winning as much as I would like because we've been stuck in a bit of a rut. I had a very, very nice message from a viewer on YouTube. If you guys want to go take a look on the live, you can give it a full read. It's not anything that you guys haven't been saying to me. It's what a lot of people have been saying to me over the last couple weeks. Downswings happen to all of us. I should know better than to cry about downswings because it's something that I've had to deal with many times over my career in varying extremes. We are currently on a pretty significant downswing. Our actual EV is definitely below where I believe our current skill level is. This does not align at all with anything that we've done historically, really. And therefore, you know, he just sent me some words of encouragement, a lot of the same stuff that you guys have been saying on stream, but it made me think about how grateful I am to have you guys as a community and how much I prefer to go through a downswing with you guys watching. And that means a lot to me, and I really appreciate that from you guys. It's very cool. But with that in mind, let's get into our first games, and let's see if we can't turn this graph up a few notches. Tom says it sounds better already. Counter, yes, and in the clicking wheel. I think we got to get a wheel, guys. I think we got to get a wheel. A proper wheel, like right there with a little camera with a close-up. I mean, it's just beautiful. You know what's cool about the wheel as well? We could probably hang it and remove it if we didn't want it once in a while too. Let me get back to you on that because it's going to be quite heavy if we do it properly, and I'm excited about that. Okay, so first things first. I was going to say we can do our free spins, but let's just get into the games. Tom, I think if we bought a proper wheel, like the one that we found, the really heavy one, I think we could probably like disassemble it and like mount it to the wall directly and just save on space. Because ideally, once everything is put away in this office, I want to be able to, the idea is this entire office folds away into the alcove that it's built into. It's hard to visualize if you guys haven't seen the picture. I'll do a post when it's a bit more finished. And I want that to be true of like the entire room. Like it's nice to have, well, the decorations will remain out behind, but you know. Anyway, today we're playing poker. We're not gonna bitch about bad run today. We're just gonna play cards. I'm actually gonna try and take more notes today as well. I'm gonna try and keep it very profesh in the notes department. Okay, on this run out, I expect us to have the best hand quite often. I actually think there's a chance that something like this would be appropriate. If we check and he has a pair over a 3, I think we get value bet for more. We can still get called by ace high here on this river as well, and king high as well, if they believe that we have missed our spades or a straight. And the 9s we're going to play as a steal. We get 3-bet jammed on here a lot by hands like ace 4 off, ace 5 off, ace deuce off, ace 8 off, ace 9 off, ace deuce suited, ace 3 suited. We do need to min raise more frequently in general. That's one of our unbalanced spots in position. Now, we probably should start bluffing at some point. Let's start bluffing. Let's start doing it. And do we just go again? I think we just go again, guys. $6.75. There you go. That was the size I'm looking for. King of poker. We get called by a straight. That's very reasonable. I wouldn't expect a straight to fold. I would anticipate the straight to bet the flop more often, but I would say generally speaking, King of Poker is actually like pretty chill in these spots. Like generally speaking, he is a fan of playing those slower than most. And for that reason, we kind of fall into that trap to a certain degree, but we have a 5 in our hand, right? Part of what we're trying to accomplish here with this bluff is that we have components in our hand that our opponents need to have in order to make significant calls, right? So in this situation specifically, we actually have the component that we want in order to make the move, and then we end up making the move in an appropriate spot where our opponent can fold, you know, even like 2 pair sometimes. But often they won't have 2 pair having not bet the flop. They won't have a straight that often having not bet the flop. They won't have a flush that often having not bet the flop. So if we go back to the hand, this is the spot. We're not just doing this because we're going mad. We're doing this because we have the 5-6 straight blocked, right? I would argue also Jack 10 is a combination that likes to bet the flop a fair amount, not all the time, but sometimes. So suddenly when we get to the turn, it's very hard for our opponent to have 5-6. It's very hard for them to have Jack 10. It's very hard for them to have 2 hearts. It's very hard for them to have 2 pair, unless it's 8-4 suited or 7-8. That might check flop. 7 definitely wants to check flop quite often. 9-8 probably bets the flop most of the time. So there's a lot of there's a lot of thought that goes into this, but our opponent just has literally 5-6. So without making it a fucking sob story, I think this is just a good example of a spot where we're doing very well, and I think we're applying good aggression. We have good thought process, and we're running into a hand. What's up, Aaron? How's it going? Good to see you. The problem is, Tom, if you knew how much those calendars actually cost, you probably wouldn't want me to actually buy it. We're using the magic all-in button, by the way, there. We have a new all-in button, and it is magical. The new keyboard is so nice, and it sounds great, but I'm really struggling to get used to typing on it. Hey, Zintex, what's up? My all-time favorite spin player from Brighton who's playing 25s on stars and whose name starts with an N. That is high praise. It's very high praise indeed. We should do a trip soon, Zintex. I'll come visit you or something, buddy. I need to get some other trips out of the way first. I'm going to Edinburgh this weekend. I'll be in Edinburgh from Friday to Sunday. I'll be in Vegas next Friday until the 4th. It is really all going down here. If we see a shove here, I think we're going to run Queen Jack. Otherwise, we're going to run it. We're going to run it blind be blind. Yeah, we're going to run this one, guys. We should theoretically actually dominate lots of the hands that jam here. You know, Jack 10, 9, 10. Jack 10, 9, 10. We're ahead of, obviously, the suited connectors like 8, 9 suited, blah, blah, blah. The fact he has aces is interesting. I think we can mark this one for review, though, just in case, because we are going to try and mark more hands. So actually, there are two hands I wanted to mark here. The 5-3 suited was the early hand we played. This was played Queen 10, mark hand for review. I would be very surprised if we're folding Queen 10 there. That's not a thing. The 5-3 suited where we bet the river is another interesting one. We'll mark that one too. I wouldn't be surprised if the 5-3 wants us to check river, but I think as exploit against real players, I prefer the bet. But I'm okay with that because we're doing it for a specific reason. Still in the top bucket spots on my bucket list, also because I was told Brighton must be a very lovely place to visit. I'm sure some geezer told you that. Yeah, for sure. So again, this is another one where we probably have to call. It's a 2x multiplier. You know, again, we should be dominating hands like Jack 10. We're going to be flipping against a lot of the pairs that jam here as well. We can mark this one for review, but I'm pretty sure Queen 10 it's got to be a call here against a reg at the stack depth. There's another component to that as well, which is interesting. One of my all-time favorites, Don the Dude. Thank you very much for the 2 months. I appreciate you, mate. I actually thought we got lucky in that last pot. Did he river us again? Yeah, he rivered the straight. That's so funny. Okay, so yeah, the Queen 10 suited is marked for review. We'll put that one in the... We'll put that one in the tank for later on as well. One of the components of that that's also interesting is when I did my database analysis, the jamming was very overdone at that stack depth, and the min raising was extremely strong. So his jamming range becomes a lot of the more difficult to play hands. King of Poker being a huge component of that entire database analysis, just because I've played so many hands with him. So the fact that we see a jam at that stack depth and we are dominated again, I think is very unlucky, just because Queen 10 suited is going to have so much equity. And if indeed we are seeing an unbalanced min-raise strategy under 13 big blinds effective, a lot of the hands that we're going to struggle to beat are going to go into the min-raise, and a lot of the hands that we dominate are going to go into the push. So that should be a particularly advantageous spot for us overall, but we'll double check our work in a second when we do some review. So far, all standard calls have encountered either domination or literal aces, which is kind of funny. One blind v blind, that we're going to keep it balanced against King of Poker here. The 6 big blind calling range should actually be very wide.
Does he ever lose? This guy. Does he ever lose?
The Unmasked Streamer, thank you for the follow. Welcome. Good to see you here. I am very grateful for the follow. Also, King Queen, no good there, unfortunately. We do put the chips in good. Our opponent is making what I would consider a fairly standard call again, but name of this game, make good calls, win pots. So far, I think they're all good calls. None are winning pots. Good bloody afternoon to you, the Unmasked Streamer. Good to have you here. Thank you for the good lucks, Don the Dude. Zintex, if you ever want to visit, buddy, you're always welcome. You know that. Also, theoretically, this office is almost done, and this office converts into a bedroom. Once we actually have a bed that goes in here, we're going to have a fold-out something which should accommodate a single bed that will live in here and be very unassuming and then fold out when everything goes away. All right, we're not going to cold call here. Okay, let's get this one all in for the $100. Flipping against ace 8-6 suiting. All right, heads up against our friend and colleague Breastcore. Let's go to war here. Let's go to war and see what we can do. We haven't unlocked any of our spin goal yet. This one is going to be fine at a low frequency. Let's do this one. Challenges, spin goal. We're really close now. Oh, that's a lie, actually. Thank you very much for the sub as well, dude. That's very kind of you. That's a lie. We unlocked subs yesterday. So the sub team was 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. We unlocked those guys. So we managed to win $25 yesterday. We're 2 away from the squad. And we're obviously 1 away from the coach. We're going to limp King 9 suited. If he jams, we're going to call. What's up, Strag? It's going to be Strag's room. It's going to be Strag's room as well. Strag has been on the list of people to make use of the new office. I think the only one that was pre-Strag was probably my good mother. I really want to call here. I'm going to mark that one for review too, because I do think checking flop with King 9 is better than betting. Maybe when we hold the 9, the bet is fine. It's just a spot we get check raised too much, and it kind of sucks for us really overall, I think. Let's mark that one for review too. We'll take a look at the post flop. We're going to ship ace deuce first limp. It's all good, Zintex. I mean, I'm going to be super psyched about folding this shit away and like giving you some space as well, you know? It's going to be cool. Against breast core, we'll take this one out for now. I think we are still probably limping very wide there, though. Pretty sure I'm headed to London soon again. You'll be among the first persons to know. Fantastic. How you doing today, Strag? I was actually going to text you this morning. Check in on my favorite retiree. Bottom of the deck here so far. Jack 3 of spades. Not the best flop. Don't think we have an answer there. Gonzo face down. We're going to limp in. If we get shoved down, we're going to call a jam here. Jack 9 spades. One of these funny hands that has lots of equity. Interesting now. This might fall into one of 2 categories. I think it's still definitely at least a call against the big ISO. It could also be strong enough to jam, but I think this is the right line. And obviously we're going broke on the 10-3-3 with 2 spades. This will generate fold equity. We can actually still get significant hands to fold here, so I think the shove is superior to the call. Very nice. We're going to mark that one for review for sure, because I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure limp call is correct. I'm pretty sure. We're going to go for a big ISO here. This one in 4.5 is fine. Slightly undersized, perhaps. Right. So, stack depth. Stack depth.
Does he ever lose? This guy. Does he ever lose?
I'm gonna get some new tracks for that, by the way, guys. The other day I realized that my my subscription to Epidemic had relapsed. Not relapsed. Had elapsed. And it was flagging me for copyright, unfortunately, so I had to replace them all with some music that I own. We'll take this one out. So we're pretty much neck and neck for the $100 here. I think we've done well to navigate here. Against the reg, there's no way out. This is a mandatory call. They are going to shove hands that we have significant domination. This is so far inside of a call. I'm going to do this. Because there's no chance we don't have him dominated. No chance. No chance. All right. He's got 1.7 big blinds, guys. How do we fuck this up? I told you it's so hard. How do we mess this up? Gone. Give it to him. Yes. Yeah, Queen 9 suited is very significantly within a call there. Waiting for Stride to go back to the all lowercase screen name. Can't believe I ever saw that. I mean, it's not nice though. That's not viewing. That's not good viewing there. I'm not a fan of that. That's not good for anyone. 2x multiplier. Unknown player. We've got a really nice starting hand. I would imagine we have the best hand very often on this flop as well. I'm going to try and get him off a chop on the river. Cool. Just stopped in, heading up to do some work on the pod. Nice. Excited about the pod, dude. Very excited to see what the next episode is going to sound like. When is the Nick mustache coming back? I mean, I had some facial hair earlier this week. It was more of a beard, I suppose, if you can call it that. It's not... I don't tend to grow. It's kind of like strong here. That kind of deal. I love that mustache. John Edwards signs off. I think one of the issues I had was I didn't know... I wasn't really sure on how to maintain it properly. And so it ended up being very Tom Selleck, bushy, Ted Lasso kind of deal. And that was very divisive. Some people liked it, some people hated it. It does feel nice to have some color behind me though again. That's cool. I'm very, very excited about the new office, guys. I think it's going to be a triumph. Hey, Florin, what's up? Good to see you, mate. Florin, I need to get back in touch with you, man. I need to do some more testing for you. It's been such a busy couple months between getting my ass handed to me in poker, installing the new office, traveling. It's been busy. Let's just stick to the rules here in the 2x multi. Directly into aces for the third time today. We have shoved directly into aces 3 times in 5 games today. Today we have played 5 games. 5 games, and we've been all in against aces on 3 occasions in 5 games. Very tricky, very technical. It is rather it's really difficult to do, to be honest. You guys should be impressed. You guys should be so impressed with my antics. Woo! 125, let's go. Princel and Breastcore, 2 friends of the stream. This is just glorious. $125 against 2 of the Uber grinders is perfection, is it not? Can't fold yet. Does Breastcore have 2 barrels for me? He does. Let's mark that one for review as well. I'm pretty sure we call pre and then we call flop. We're going to have the best hand so often. And it's not the easiest board to just blast off on either. We got 2 live cards this time at least. That's a bit more like it. Thank you. That was for pretty much exactly 14 big blinds. Definitely going to be a profitable move. We can't fold against the jam here yet, but we can fold to 2. I'd like to mark the queen 10 for review as well. I think that it probably is going to go, and then we're going to call. I'd be interested to see if GTO takes it out because we have a short stack on our direct left. Okay, we got a big raise here. This is, we start really deep stack, so we're going to go for a 6.5. King 7. Let's play this one as a limp today. Interesting one. All right, this is a standard size ISO, which we're going to use 3. Get a little bit of action here. Let's start like this. Let's try and do interesting. So the straights apart from 5-6 are a little bit on the low side. So I think barreling is better. It does feel good to play for a few chips here, though. Definitely, it reminds me of the old days. What's up, Martin? Good to see you, mates. Pair O jacks can't fold yet. Interesting turn. Interesting on the turn here. It's very difficult for our opponent to barrel, and I would say also we can get some very strong hands to fold in this river if we do it properly. We're not going to get him to fold a spade, obviously, but the 7 of spades I think quite easily could have folded. We're at 10. Let's go with this one. Right into the top of the range as usual. Ocho! GG. Okay, couple hands we want to mark for review. Turning that jack into a bluff I think is very good. Like I said, he ends up calling with a spade, which isn't that shocking, but he will just have no spade. If he has no spade very often, it will be, hands as strong as like king jack or ace king potentially. It's kind of an annoying spot because I think we're doing much better by turning our hand into a bluff than we are by checking, because we can get much stronger hands to fold where the queen is a straight and also the spades are available. 7 of spades, like, if you don't believe I have a spade, fair enough. Like, I don't think this is that crazy, but I think probably on a certain day we can get, the 6 of spades, the 7 of spades, the 5 of spades, the 2 of spades to fold quite easily too. Bit of an annoying run out because obviously if the spades don't fall, we are probably going to represent a queen as the board runs. So if we see the deuce of diamonds on this river, we're going to represent the queen and we're probably going to get significant folds. We might even get hands as strong as second and third pair to fold. We'll mark it for review anyway. I'm pretty sure the defend pre-flop is correct, and I'm pretty sure that the way we play it is going to be fine. It's just a spot where you can imagine a lot of very strong hands folding, and even some actually reasonably strong like spades to get out of the way once in a while too. Breastcore calls down. Breastcore is generally a bit of a non-believer in us, which I think is warranted, obviously, because we are capable of making these moves. Good player in general, Breastcore. Very solid player. We'll mark the 9-6 suited as well, but I'm pretty sure that one is going to fly in. That's no problem. That's 10 big blinds. We'll mark the aces for review as well. Pretty frustrating in general, guys. I think there's just a lot of opportunities that we are taking at the moment, which we're not getting the setups going in our favor, so we're struggling to just accumulate all these free chips that our opponents are getting. Like, running into aces 3 times in 5 games, you've just got instant free equity. We're not getting those. We're getting some really nice opportunities to bluff where we have like the appropriate blockers to do so. And we're running directly into made hands that are not like never folding. That last one, I think probably the 7 of spades can fold some of the time, but like just in general, like the spots that we're taking, I think are very reasonable. They're very well thought out, and we never seem to get them through because they always seem to have a hand that can call. When we have combination draws, we're not completing our combo draws, so we're not winning anything at showdown where we should. We're investing a lot of our stack in being forced to fold when we miss those as well, which is another like really brutal spot. But, you know, generally speaking, I think everything so far today has been is very solid. All right, let's balance up some. We'll balance some of our checks here. What's up, Tony? Good. Hello, Solander as well. Tony's been here the whole time. What am I talking about? He says 6-9 suited, sub 10 is reasonable shove. I think so too. Let's start betting, I guess. Hello, Mac. Welcome back, buddy. Definitely calling a shove here if we need to. Not dissimilar to the spot we played earlier. Tons of equity against ace-8, but we can't get there, unfortunately. All right, just give me 2 seconds, guys. Got to do some work really quick. Oh, we're connected. All of a sudden, let's do something weird. All right, cool. Let's carry on. We just got to keep pushing, guys. We can't allow ourselves to get complacent because we're just running bad. Like, we need to keep making these moves. If we can sit on the stream, if I can sit in front of you guys on the stream and justify what we're doing, it's not always going to be perfect, right? I don't claim to be the best poker player in the world. We've played for far too long and far too many years to disrespect ourselves and just say like we're just like, you know, the worst player. Like, I think all the moves that we've made so far that haven't worked out today have basically been justifiable to a reasonable degree. We just need to stop running into aces. We need to stop running into straights when we're representing straights with the card that we block. We need to stop running into, you know, the hero calls when we're representing a very strong range. But we can't get complacent, and we can't... The worst thing we can do is just become timid and stop blasting, because that's not how you beat these games.
Does he ever lose? This guy. Does he ever lose?
Hey, the B-Star. Thank you very much for the follow. How you doing today? Welcome to the stream. We just need to keep blasting, guys. We've played for too long, and we've played these games for too long, and we've studied way too hard to start to lose faith in our ability to play this game, because it's been a long time, and we are in the middle of what is 100% Well, first of all, we're playing against a bunch of regs, which is obviously no good for your win rate anyway, right? If you play against good players, you're going to win less, full stop. That's definitely happening. But there is absolutely no chance that we have just lost our mind, and this entire career on PokerStars playing Spinning Goes has been a meme. We need to just keep firing. We need to keep the aggression on. We need to be absolute savage. We need to be absolutely savage and really, really continue to punish. Don't let up because we're running bad. And we'll let the chips fall where they may. Next game. If anything, we need to be more aggressive. When things get tough, we need to play harder, not weaker. Jack 10, Jack 10, Jack 10, Jack 10. 8-9 also very acceptable. No good. A triple barrel a day keeps the nits away. There you go. Very wise. It was nice to find opponents shoving some hand that wasn't the nuts. That was cool. It was nice to see people all in there with a reasonable shoving hand, like 8-9. I absolutely approve of this behavior. Okay, heads up against Requena. Heads up against Requena for $75. And let's play this as a limp today. Jack 10 of clubs is a fairly beautiful hand. I do have a theory about Jack 10 though. I feel like Jack 10 is like everyone's first favorite hand, but it's like massively overrated. Like 8-9 suited, 6-7 suited, way better than Jack 10 suited. Difficult to call an overbet here. We are obviously ahead of hearts. We are ahead of some straight draws. Let's stick around. This would be a pretty good hero call if he bets river. Imagine beating diamonds. Imagine beating a random 3-4. Imagine beating 5-6. Imagine beating hearts. Can you imagine a Jack High hero call being the best move you've ever seen in your life here? Nice hand. Nice hand. We had to try. Random diamonds, random hearts, 3, 4, 6, a random 6 as well. The exact same hand as us, Jack 10, 8, 10. I mean, it's just too good, man. The hero call on stream is worth so much more than actually being right there. King Jack no good either. Cool. Next game. Also, why does he have Queen Ace 9 there? That's interesting. Ace 9 is almost definitely supposed to be all in there pre-flop. Ace 9 of spades. Ace 9 of spades check back is actually all right there. Oh, we are quite deep. I think that's probably fine. I would say way more often we're going to want to raise, but I think there is some check. All right, we're gonna try and triple here, I think. Something like this is okay. My name is Mike says I large ISO ace-9 seater at every stack depth. I mean, I feel like that's probably good, though. I feel like that's definitely not an unreasonable strategy. Dominated always. Combination draw, no good. Combination draw. Nice. That feels better. I prefer when we make our draws. Tony, rude boy. No, let's not do this one. I'm pretty 420 right now. I can mark it for you, Tony, although I'm pretty sure we're not supposed to hero call with Jack High. I'm interested to see what they say about it though, because we do beat a lot of draws. Having king high or ace high obviously is better in that situation. I'd be interested to see what the calling range looks like, because I think we are probably supposed to call with a fair amount of... We probably are supposed to hero call with some high cards is what I'm saying. Having a 10 is not as useful because we really like our opponent to have more hands like 8-10 and Jack-10. So it might be a hero call with some king highs and ace highs, but I think the Jack-10 is probably a fold. We are going to be ahead of so many straight draws though in general. If our opponents have a single blocker in that spot, they can blast off though too. Unfortunately, some of those bluffs are also beating us, which is why Jack high is probably not going to be approved. It was an awesome hero call. It was a truly momentous hero call. Just bad timing. Breast court. I've been back so long, it feels like work. That might still be in range, but we're going to take it out here in the 3x. Didn't come here just almost when I came to rake it in. Step on step to the ceiling. Cause I love feels like you. King Queen has definitely got to go here. Can we win an all-in, please? Please don't be so ridiculous. Don't be so ridiculous. Why are you so ridiculous? Besides, Jack High Hero Call is stream equity. Jack High Hero Call, where it actually could be the best hand quite often, is huge, huge, huge stream equity. Break it in. That is a bit more like it. We like those. And now we battle with the breast core. Straight draw. Didn't come here just almost when I came to rake it in. We are going to limp trap pocket jacks. We are going to start barreling on 90s 5. Jack spades in our hand. We're going to flat 3, 4, 5 gets there. That's kind of annoying. Wow. Great run out. There is a fair number of bluffs that get there on this river, but if he's not barreling, I think we probably still want to bet ourselves. I mean, Breastcore is kind of a non-believer, right? We'll keep 7-5 in as a limp here. Cannot be calling any raising. $10-5 is going to come out at 8 big blinds. Pocket Jacks is going to stay in. We're going to make this 2.5 bigs to go, which I believe is the appropriate size. And this is a simplified jam. In a 3x multi, that's going to perform very well. Probably is RDGTO as it is. It's definitely Nash. And 8-9 is the same. Shoving and getting folds, man, feels pretty darn good. King 7 is going to be too strong to fold here. This is probably a call up to like 12 big blinds or something like that. Crazy. Maybe not that high. It's getting up there, though. And it is a hand that we absolutely can never fold against a reg at this stack depth. The fact that we're dominated there for a significant portion of the chips in play is just the biggest issue we've encountered over the last couple months. Making very, very, very standard moves and having very, very frustrating non-standard outcomes so frequently. I'd say the shove from the King Jack is not non-standard, but the fact that we run into a dominating hand so often when they can have so much of the rest of the deck is kind of crazy. I would say that has been one of the biggest hurdles that we've had to try and overcome here during our sort of dip in EV or a flat line in EV. And unfortunately, it's not a hurdle that we can overcome. It's not something that we have any control over, right? We just have to make the move and assume that our opponents don't always have us dominated, which is hard when they have aces 3 games out of 5 starters today. So I'm hoping for a little bit of a change in that at some point. We'd like to have our turn. Ideally, we'd like to have the version where we have the best hand sometimes. But we're focusing on the things we can control today. That one is getting pretty close, like King 9 for sure. You love me, girl. You've been known to lie. We are absolutely not folding to a check raise here. The king should actually theoretically be a pretty bad card for our opponent, just because we are going to bet call with king high at a fair whack here on this board, where we should be ahead of diamonds. We also should be ahead of hands like deuce 3 and stuff like that as well. And on this river, we should just have the best hand, right? We counterfeit the 4x that's still in here. We're ahead of the straight draw flush draws as well. They literally have the only flush draw that has us beat on the ace, king, king run out. That is pretty savage. Think about all the other possible combinations that they check raise bluff with, and they literally have the queen high flush when we have jack high as a check on that river. This is just exactly what I've been talking about, guys. We have been on the wrong side of so many of these little like micro issues, these micro spots, and it's so costly in the short term. It's so costly. We have correctly identified our opponent is check raise bluffing on this board at a high frequency. We've correctly identified what their range is going to be. And they have the exact combination where we always check down river. Like there's runouts we can actually continue to barrel there as well. They have the exact part of their bluffing range that has us beat on this river. And if it runs a slightly different way, we can still even turn our hand into a bluff or even improve, believe it or not. That is so brutal. It's such a small spot, and it really, you know, it is what it is, whatever these things happen in Texas Hold'em, but for us to be on the wrong end of those so often has just been really, really rough in the last couple months. Your opponent just gets EV for free. Absolutely for nothing. Like, they can play that hand any way that they want, and they always come out in the right in that situation, right? If they check call flop, which, by the way, Queen 8 of diamonds, I don't see any reason to check raise in this situation, right? You're going to have the best hand so often with Queen High, and you have the diamonds. But it doesn't matter how the hand plays, right? If we bluff flop and call, and they call, we bluff turn and they call, and it runs out the exact same way. They check the river, we check the river, they win the spot no matter what. It's not this hand, it's the hand where they have the Queen High flush draw. It doesn't matter how this hand is played. Our opponent just wins a mountain of EV every time. So if they're doing with Queen 8, you can assume they're going to do this with all the hands we have outkicked with the Jack High as well. It's such a silly, like, nothing hand. It just doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. But for us to always be on the wrong end of these little spots is just so expensive to our EV. And it's boring. I'd like to be on the right side of those once in a while. There's just no reason for us to bluff either, right? We're just beating everything, right? We've counterfeited a 4. We're beating all the diamonds. We're beating all the straight draws. It's just the perfect spot. It's absolutely perfect. And we're just putting ourselves in such a great position to win chips and EV. And we're just like... we're just not ever on the right side of it. Again, it's nice for our opponents to turn up with these hands. It's nice for our opponents to actually have the bottom of their range once in a while. Deuces into 4s into 7s. So we're isolating the small jam as well here, right? We've doubled up first hand, and we've immediately run deuces into 4s and 7s. I'm just missing the part where we win any EV ever if we just always have the worst hand, guys. I'm not even asking for money. Just want to win the Eves. I'm only interested in the EV. Yeah, if the board doesn't double pair with the king as well, we actually bluff the river as well. The double paired board is just the bet on the turn is designed to generate folds and then obviously also set up for the river jam too. It's pretty much textbook. The double paired is just such a perfect check spot now all of a sudden. Nice hand, nice hand. Next game. Just got to play through it, guys. We got to play through the doldrums. We are just in the middle of a bit of a storm here. A variance storm. And it's okay. We're going to be all right. We're going to survive. We're going to survive. We need to play harder. Less whinging, more playing. Less crying, more poker. Hey, Tony, how's it going? Today is the day I had a flush draw. Surprisingly. Do you think a 10 is ever good here, chat? When we're blocking diamonds? Cool. That works. I was going to turn our hand into a bluff on a later street, but we didn't need to when we hit the 10. Let's do this. We're going to try, Tony. We're going to try. We're going to try and do something positive. Yeah, that's the universe back and down. All right, 8, 9. No good on this board. Six of hearts, 3 of hearts. Five, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Bit of a tricky one. We do have the straight draw. We do have the straight draw, but it's kind of the gross end of it. There's a chance we're still supposed to call there, but I'm not feeling it right now. And we are playing strict vibe coding poker only. We are vibe GTO only. Trapping ace king like a boss. Vibe coding ace king like a boss. We're vibe coding, and we vibe coded well. Vibe coded poker. What's up, Gilly in the chat? Hello. How you doing, mates? We have a straight draw. We have a straight draw, and we're calling. We're going to try and make a draw today. Now, there is a chance that we can just check shove turn. Our opponent should be blasting the 9 as a bluff, a fair frequency, so we do probably do decent here. Let's give it a go. He's got the top of his range. We did manage to make the straight, though. Our opponent has a pair again. Tony says, it's 11 p.m. here, and I plan to stay up all night wrecking a couple cash tables, watching poker, then watching all the World Cup games. Pizza place is open till 2 a.m. That sounds like a great plan, my guy. You should definitely do that, man. It's a great use of free will. Okay, let's see if we can make this work heads up. Let's do a standard ISO. Let's do a small continuation bet. Let's do a chicken check. Let's do a... That was a very quick check on the turn, wasn't it, guys? Should we try and induce a bluff here? We're calling a jam. If we need to. The check on the turn does not fill me with lots of hope that we're going to get paid there. This one definitely goes. Yeah, technically this is correct. The limp call is appropriate here. We do end up winning this game, which is nice. We'll take a look at the check shove hand that we played because I want to see if there's any merit to that. I think on that particular flop and turn, we can get away with a fair amount. But it's tricky. It's always tricky because our opponents are quite literally mathematically way stronger than they should be in all of these spots. The database review that we actually put together the other day confirms that our even the regs, even the stronger regs are playing much tighter than GTO. And therefore, a lot of the moves that we have are not going to be as appropriate post-flop as they should be. We're calling a shove no matter what. Wish me luck, guys. Ace, queen, ace, jack, kings. Everyone always has the top of their range in this game. Let's take a mark on this one, too. I might actually quit poker if this is a fold. Especially against two regs who will shove the correct ranges. The biggest issue you have in this spot is the 3-bet jam from the small blind is a hand that we dominate often. The big blind can be all kinds of pairs where we still have 2 overcards and the correct equity. It can still be ace-jack. It can still be ace-10. It's just a call. And you pray that your opponents don't always have kings or aces. Got plenty of hands for review today. I actually don't have confirmation when my... I'm waiting on confirmation for when my family are going to arrive. And then I'll know when we can slow it down for our... I'll know when we can slow it down for our review. We end up having 40% equity against Ace-King here, which is a bit of a treat, but the Ace, the 9-10 suited again, we can mark that for review. It's going to be 100% jam. Or at least that will be the majority of it. Straight into nines. Just keep blasting, just keep blasting. All right, unknown player on the right detected. That is a bit of a treat. If you called and had the flush, I was leaving. Fair, mate. I don't blame you. Can we please get 100x? I mean, a giant jackpot would definitely feel somewhat deserved at this point. I think theoretically, I could be wrong on this, but I think we're supposed to get like 250x's at least during the challenge in 10,000 games. I haven't actually looked at the math for a while. Oh my God, how are we ever going to get this EV back? Brutal, man. Brutal how much we are missing here. Can we value bet? We can get called by a deuce. There's a fair number of fives that will chop with us as well, I guess. Ace high? Any chance? PTR says, I don't know if you did with the mark the king 5 suited hands heads up where he jammed for 11 to 12. Think it might be the bottom of the calling range unless you think that player doesn't jam properly. You might be right there, buddy. You might be right. Although I need to find it because that doesn't sound like a spot that I would miss. Let me double check, mate. Thank you for highlighting. So apparently we had king 5 suited, yeah. So king 5 suited, I'm trying to find the king 5 suited. I don't see king 5 suited. This is the struggle that I have with this app. Can't see it. It might have been king 5 off. We'll see. Let me see if I can find it, mate. Pre-flop pocket queens. Wow, look at our equity in this spot. Oh, the delay. Oh my God, did you guys feel that? Did you feel that delay? There was a literal pause before the 4 fell. Is it recorded like that as well? All right, give me a sec, guys. I'm trying to find this hand. King 5 suited fold. Okay, it must have been this one, actually. Let me replay this and see if it's this hand. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, we'll put that in the... We had like 13 big blinds though. I don't know if this is the hand you're talking about, but I think that was just a fold. Raise 13 fold. That I think this is the hand you're talking about. Oh, maybe it's this one. So that was 13. No, it wasn't that one either. So I think I found the one that you were talking about where we folded to a jam, but I don't think the setup was quite what you saw. It was spades, 4 or 5 sit and goes ago. Okay, yeah, cool. So I'm looking at all the king 5s. King 5 of spades, this is the hand you're talking about. It was for 13 big blinds. I have it marked so we can review it in a sec. We probably want to start doing our review pretty soon because I don't know what time these guys are showing up. So it was for 13 total PTR. So when we're looking at ranges in like from a solver perspective, the solve is for the effective stack before the action has occurred. So it might have been a call for 12. But I think the total was 13. It might just sneak into the bottom of the calling range though, you're right. I'm not 100% sure. I got it marked for review. Let's take a look in a sec. I think it's probably razor thin though, and you probably want to be a little bit snugger than that regardless. The biggest issue that I'm encountering right now is the regs, statistically speaking, seem to shove more frequently than GTO, but that doesn't mean that they're shoving wider than GTO. It just means that they're simplifying some of their limps as jams. So they might still be playing the same range of hands correctly, as in the same entirety of range, but they're choosing to shove some hands that might have been better balanced as a limp or whatever. So the issue that we're encountering right now is we should be calling pretty close to Nash because not only are the hands that they are, not only are they shoving more of the hands that they should be limping, but that means that they're playing the stronger hands slower, so more of their range is going into the jams than should be. But the problem that we're encountering is when we're jamming correctly, our opponents are waking up with the strongest hands more often. And when they're jamming incorrectly or slightly more than that, our calling range always seems to be slightly worse for some reason. Catalo Nuts, hello. Good to see you. What's poppin'? We're just playing, buddy. We're just grinding. King 10 of clubs is definitely a mandatory 3-bet here against reg. We aren't even close to the territory where the reg's under min raise. So 3-bet jamming King 10 here. It's just math. Statistically, this cannot continue. Statistically speaking, our opponents cannot continue to wake up at the top of their range forever, and we will actually generate equity from those 3-bet raise folds. Just for the sake of consistency, let's go ahead and include the King 10 suited in there as well. The 5-3 suited jam in the 3X, that's probably not necessary, but it will be Nash. I think. We were shallow enough, I think. I was busy talking. I might have fucked that one up, to be honest. Where's the King 10 suited 3-bet jam? 5 minutes ago. A minute ago. King 10 suited marked for review. Okay. Oh, I might have missed some spots here as well, guys. No, that's fine. It's fine. Also fine. PTR says I thought it was 11 or 12. No, it's all good. That makes more sense on what you very easily could have spotted it without the big blind committed already. I do that shit all the time. Totally understandable, mate. So you're telling me the RNG is rigged? Oh man. We even hit the 5 here. The guy has 3 big blinds and he has us dominated. It's pretty frustrating though. I mean, I have literal statistical evidence to indicate that our opponents are playing with the correct ranges. They are playing, in fact, wider than they should as open shoves at shallow stack depths, and they always have us dominated. Hilarious. All right, guys, we're gonna finish this game and then we're gonna start our review. I have a sneaking suspicion that my family's gonna turn up all of a sudden, and we're not gonna have time to cover some of these hands that were interesting for today's sesh. Beside the side, very good. Very good, mate. It's hard not to keep thinking this is a kickoff with the skin. Yeah, I'm with you on that too. What a fucking troll, bro. All right, we'll mark that one for review as well, but this is almost definitely a call. So for 6.5 big blinds, Queen 6 is a call at around 7.5 or something like that. Spammer Kid, known reg. Live cards anyway. I mean, this is part of the component, right? We're not always calling because we have the best hand. We're calling because we have the correct equity. Flop is with Queen. Turn is with Ace. All right, cool. We'll mark that one for review. We'll do some review now. Okay, so this is what today looked like in chips, guys. Pretty bad. Again, struggling to see where we're supposed to change too much. I'm sure we still have plenty of mistakes that we can correct, but we're running below expectation by about 2,000 chips. Our actual EV is in the trash can because we just have not managed to make any hands today. We run into aces 3 times in the first 5 games that we played. We're down 10 buy-ins today and looking like another rough one for us. This is a relatively short session anyway, 22 games. Let's do some review. So before we do anything else, let's make sure that we close up Poker Stars. I'm going to make sure that's closed now. So we got a bunch of hands to review really quickly. A lot of this is just going to be pre-flop, so I'm going to breeze through it as quickly as possible. And I guess we're going to finish up a little bit early here because I don't have any indication of an ETA, which is specifically what I asked for, so I didn't have to rush through this stream. All right, let's start. So this is the review of the hand coming from Hand to Note, and this over here is going to be the GTO Wizard output. Again, I am using GTO Wizard specifically offline. It's not for use during play. Also, you guys will know if you've watched this stream at all, we're using the upload feature, which means we are recovering hands that we have played after the fact. Rather than obviously using it in real time, which is ridiculous. So, 5-3 diamonds. There's a bet on the flop. We call, our opponent bets turn. There's a check. So on the river, I anticipate that GTO wants us to check. I actually think the bet is a good exploit against real people, but I'd like to review a couple different alternatives to this reality here. Part of why I think the 1 big blind is also interesting is if our opponent has limped with a hand like pocket 8s or 9s, they probably bet this flop and check this turn, but on the river it becomes really apparent we don't have a 10 or a queen and they can value bet for more than 1. So I think this is a combination kind of move because we limit the amount that they're allowed to barrel if they do have a better hand. We can still get called by ace high, king high for sure if they think we have missed spades. This is a bluff size that I think we could probably utilize a little bit more often. It's difficult to balance because, you know, when you bet and you bluff, you kind of want to put your opponent in a tougher spot. But if we're going to make moves like this with a 10 or a 3, we're technically supposed to bluff the same. So I anticipate that this one is going to deviate slightly from GTO, but I want to take a look at the turn as well. Yeah, so the river is where it changes. The check is preferred. That was to be expected. I kind of understood that already. If we actually skip to the turn specifically, I'm assuming if we face a turn barrel, we're going to have to fold. Whatever the most common size is, let's assume that they go for 4.5. And we had 5-3 of diamonds. 5-3 diamonds fold, 5-3 hearts call, obviously. 5-3 of clubs fold, cool. That's fine. All right, no good. That hand was fine, excuse me. On to the next one. All in for 9.5 big blinds. We call in the big blind for 7.8 effective. Now, this is a particularly good one to check in. This is a particularly good one to check from a GTO Wizard perspective because they will try and find a solution that is close to the stack distribution we see here. When this player is shorter stacked, the shoving range becomes wider because there's less of a threat from the small blind. So the effective stack comes down, which makes Queen 10 even more of a call. That's my interpretation. I'd be very surprised if that was wrong. Queen 10, 100% call. Our opponent has aces, by the way. Queen 10 suited here. Very, very similar spot. Our opponent is all in for 11.5 big blinds. King of poker, obviously one of the most prolific regs we play against. Therefore, this range should be close. I would argue this might even be hands like Jack 10 suited. It's definitely going to be King Queen suited. The call here is particularly potent because two things. Number one, the hands that players want to shove here tend to be hands that actually prefer folds. Smaller pocket pairs are a good example of that. Suited connectors are another good example of that. Jack 10 suited, Queen 9 suited, 9-10 suited. Hands that we dominate also want to jam here. It's just a slam dunk call. I really don't know what to say. This is also a hand that performs perfectly fine against Ace King or Ace 5 or Ace 7 or Ace 9 offsuit. All in all, if this is a fold, I'd be very, very surprised. But the calling range might surprise you here. It's a call 100%. So obviously this is correct. But if we take a look at what the response is here, Jack 10 suited, Queen 10 suited, King 9 suited, King 10 suited, we've got this nailed down. Against a reg, we are going to follow the rules. We're going to call. Our opponent ends up having King 10, which is one of the combinations that dominates us, and it costs us EV, of course, but this is all approved. Even if our opponents are playing slightly tighter, you'd be surprised how often these can stay in. So if we did a node lock that included a tighter jamming range here, this is still going to be a call, just because it performs so well. The other component to this is our opponents' frequencies that we have studied, the regs in the pool, the players we have played the most are still not playing this strategy. They are jamming more than this. At this specific stack depth, at 13 big blinds or less, their shoving range is much higher and their min-raise ranging is much, much tighter. So as soon as that becomes true, they're going to start to include more of these pairs. They're going to start to include more of these suited pretty hands like this. They're going to include more of these. So their min-raising range becomes more linear. It becomes higher up here in much hands that we actually are going to lose to more often. And the jam becomes more higher in value because they're going to include hands like Ace 3 off. They're going to include King 10 off more often. They're going to include Queen 10 off. And so this obviously just becomes an even better value proposition for us based on literal math, based on literal frequencies that we've taken from the literal player pool that we're playing against. So we get punished for making the right decision here, and we have significantly more backup to also confirm that this is the right thing to do based on our database analysis. All right, so we got King 9 of spades. We limp, our opponent checks, we arrive here. So here's a board where I think we're probably supposed to check flop at a very high frequency. We end up having a gut shot, which is well disguised when we check with 2 overcards like this. We don't have the backdoor spades as backup. That's obviously a component here. When we arrive on this turn and our opponent leads, I would say there's a chance we are supposed to still be calling. The problem is, I think that if our opponent leads this turn and we don't improve, they can bluff us very aggressively. I don't think betting on this board is particularly good because if your opponent does turn up with any piece, the check raise is so brutal and we really have no response. So I'm struggling to see how else we play this apart from perhaps calling the turn a bit more often. But we'll see. Nailed it. Again, a tricky one. We're getting better at playing these post-flop. It's not helping us at the moment, though. We limp here. Our opponent is going to raise big. Again, this is Breastcore. This is a reg. He is going to be playing a dynamic ISO size strategy. I believe Jack 9 suited is meant to be a flat, and on this board, when they bet small, we are going to jam. I think this is how you play the hand. There is a large component of the stronger parts of our suited sort of somewhat Broadway hands that we're supposed to jam, but I'm pretty sure that this is approved. This is a hand that performs very well against the range that wants to ISO bluff. Okay, cool. So the preflop is call. The preflop is also going to be jam. This is where it changes, right? So we're playing this as a call here, and then our opponent raises big. We can actually jam. The call is the component of this. This is fine. We are nailing this range. As I said during the stream, it feels very close to a good enough hand for us to jam, but we're thinking along the right lines. It's sneaking into some of these calling hands here, and it's going to include some of these too. So this is a win for us. I would say to simplify this as a jam is also going to be completely fine. However, against the regs that we've been playing who under ISO at this stack depth, I'd say the call is going to do a bit better. That one's very sensitive to ranges, though. You don't want to do that against unknowns. Let's not breeze over the rest of it, though. Sorry. Once our opponent bets, they prefer the call rather than the jam. Now, the issue that I have with this is the expectation on flop sizing is going to be slightly different, and also the expectation on pre-flop range is going to be different too. I believe that players like Breastcore will have more bet folds, which makes this much more profitable because the amount we win at non-showdown is huge. If we were to actually jump into the solve here, if we jump into the solve here and we start at the big blind, let's take a look at the frequency of betting here. So the most commonly used size is already going to be 1.5 or 2, which is to be expected at this stack depth. I would say 2 is probably a lot more frequent. So our opponent sizes down significantly, which I'd say is probably more of an indication of weakness than strength, but it's player dependent. It doesn't matter that much really. Let's say our opponent does opt for 1.5 anyway. That's the closest to what our opponents have seen. In the event that we play an all-in here, our opponent is supposed to call 79.3% of the time. Now, the lower this number is in reality, the less frequently our opponent calls a shove, the much more profitable this becomes, because the amount that we win at non-showdown is absolutely massive. There's 7 big blinds dead in the middle. He's put in another 1.5, so 7, 8, 9, 10 effectively are dead after we put in the match to match the initial bet. So if we can basically shove and get more folds than 79.3%, we are going to print in this situation, and this will be a massive exploit. So playing this as a jam in the knowledge that we will actually probably get our opponents to overfold, and indeed they may even be over-ISOing in this situation in the first place with more of the bluffs, this is particularly good. It should be noted that on this texture, our opponent actually has a 3 a decent amount, which seems kind of crazy, but this is how it's balanced. If we go back to the initial strategy to raise to 3.5, these are the hands that we're using for 3.5, right? It's tons of value. It's lots of value hands. It's lots of these merged sort of suited gapper hands like slash 6-7 suited, 8-7 suited. And then we're allowed to include these hands as large ISOs as well, which is something that you can't do if you're playing a basic strategy. This is super, super interesting because in the games we're playing, this edge is not that big of an edge because players are very good and they're aware of what we're doing. If you take this strategy to a group of live players and you're playing heads-up poker of any kind, this strategy will absolutely murder your opponents. They won't understand how to respond to it correctly. They will overreact or underreact, both of which is good for you in this situation, especially if you're doing this at the correct frequency, because the idea is we're going to do this with some very good playable hands where we convince our opponents to put a lot in. We're going to have a lot of weak hands that our opponents are incapable of playing well. And I don't mean that to say that they're making a mistake by playing these passively. It's just that they have no way of weaponizing the worst part of our range. 7 deuce off, 8 tray off, all this stuff. These are hands that are basically you have to give up otherwise if you're not balancing this, right? by playing a strategy that involves raising these hands very large and raising these hands very large, not only do we have like good board coverage where it's possible for us to actually have a lot of hands that connect with a very wide range of boards that we can represent in a believable way, but we have ways to turn 7 deuce and 8-3 off and 9-3 off and 10-3 off into playable, viable hands, which is something that is impossible otherwise, basically, because, you know, it's very difficult to balance, is what I'm saying. In any case, I'm perfectly happy with the way the rest of that hand plays, and the jam as an exploit, as a deviation from GTO, I think is extremely good. All right, they have arrived early, so I've done this well. All right, so our opponent raises here, and we call. I believe flatting with suited aces here is a thing. Once our opponent arrives here and they bet, we call because I don't think we can fold anything on this board that's ace high. Our opponent barrels turn, we fold. I think this is textbook. I'm not sure. There's a chance that the ace can just go in pre-flop, and that will be fine, but I think this is probably where we're at. Textbook. Sensitive Tony, the Jack 9 suited is definitely a shove there. So it's both, yeah. It was a split between the two. Like I said, when we were playing the hand itself, I said this actually might be good enough to jam. And it turned out it was 50-50. It was right on the cusp. Why don't we call with 2 overs and a gutter on the turn? We're just going to lose the pot too much on the river. Queen 10 as a min raise. So this was an interesting one. After this player shoved and they shoved, we folded. Queen 10 might be a fold when we have a short stack in the small blind, but I don't think that's how it works. Let me just double check our play here. We folded after the second shove, obviously. No. Okay, cool. So we don't shy away from these. We are adjusting this correctly. This is a move that I would have taken out before, but we are playing that 100% correctly. Here, we do a raise to 3. Our opponent calls. We bet the flop small. Our opponent calls. I think we just keep blasting. I think this is perfectly fine. I don't think there's any reason to trap check that turn because there's not enough equity shift on the turn for our opponents to pick up hands that they want to. I don't think there's enough equity shift for our opponents to turn their hand into a bluff. Okay, cool. Yep, all good. So on the flop, they might want a slightly different size. Yep. On the flop, they prefer 2 to 1.5. I don't really give a shit. That's fine. Same shit. Also, the 1.5 is a size that our opponents are probably far more likely to. Our opponents are far more likely to make a mistake against a small size, I think, just because they float too much when they see that very tiny c-bet. Once we arrive on the turn, 5.5 is not a thing. 8.5 is more viable. We are extremely deep. I didn't spot that in play. There is actually more check than I expected here, so this is interesting. It could be the case that we don't have enough bluffs on this turn, but I don't know if that's true. I mean, if we're betting 8.5, I can imagine we're going to do it with a lot of ace combos as well that aren't aces. If we skip to the reaction on the turn here after the 3 of spades falls, and we are going to bet 8.5. Let's take a look at what that looks like. Aces, kings, queens, jacks, queen 10 at some for, yeah, I mean, this is a very difficult strategy to employ, obviously. If you're not going to, people are going to miss most of this stuff. So on the whole, 9s wants to check, 8s wants to check. Interesting. So it would transpire that the check is better on this turn. I need to probably do some more work on this one in general, but it is interesting to see how much we're going to check on this turn. Ace 8 of spades is in there as well. Let's check 2. Cool. Our turn check needs improvement here. So obviously betting the turn for 5 is not going to be an issue. It's not going to be that bad. The actual equity shift is almost nothing because aces are just so good here. The check is 9.92. The bet is 9.91. The 8.5 is 9.92. This is probably very inaccurate because the way that your opponents respond to an 8.5 bet on this turn is probably going to involve them folding far too much. So finding something in between is an interesting prospect. If we actually change this to a single size strategy, I would be very interested to see how we respond on this turn now. And I wouldn't be surprised if it was something in the middle. There you go. Now, this is a really cool component for GTO Wizard. This is very, 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 very interesting. The single size strategy application here is basically GTO Wizard taking a multi-size strategy and finding the common ground between them that generates the most EV that is the easiest to implement without losing too much EV. The basic simplified, you can only bet one size on this turn is 6.2. We bet 5.8 or whatever the size was. We did 5.4. So our instincts here are actually very, very good on the basis that this is probably what will win the most from a more basic strategy application rather than trying to balance an 8.5 and a check. Now, it still transpires that we want to do more checking than betting, and that's absolutely fine. And I'm always okay to be wrong in these situations more. However, the fact that we can simplify this and it comes closer to the size that we use, I think is a pretty good indication that we're playing this hand pretty well. That's fine. All right, so Jack 7 here. There's a min raise and a call. On the flop, our opponent bets. We call. On the turn, it goes check, check. On the river, I think this is a very good opportunity to bluff. Now, again, these are the spots where there's a lot of other stuff going on. I'm going to look at the output here, but this is so player dependent and so style dependent that I'm not sure if it's going to agree with my line at all. That's fine. This is a spot I think we can massively over bluff, and I think we do very well. In fact, it's just basically perfect. Let's take a look at the river that we missed. So we ended up betting 5 into 6. And it would turn out that we're better off either betting very small or betting extremely big. The EV difference is almost nothing. However, everything about this hand is appropriate, not only in my brain, but also from a GTO perspective. If we simplify this solution to a single size on the river, if we simplify this to single size again, we'll see if we're close. So 13.8 is a size that they would prefer that we use here. So this overbet is just going to perform better than the small size. What's interesting about this is looking back at how this hand was played. The idea is we're supposed to have the Queen of Spades here, right? That's probably the best hand we can have. In fact, that is the best hand we can have. The idea of us using a small size as an exploit, though, I think is very good. I still think the 5 of spades, the 6 of spades, the deuce of spades, all these hands are still going to absolutely hate life. We end up getting snapped off by a player that watches our streams, knows us very well, and I think is a very good player. Has adapted very well to our aggressive style. So getting called by the 7 of spades doesn't shock me here. If we go back and take a look at what happens when we bet 13.8, though, it's very important that we're getting some of these flushes to fold, right? So 22.1% of these hands are flushes. So already they basically need a flush to call on this river. So we're going to get a fold here about 80. We're going to get a fold on this river about 88% of the time. My math is bad there. 78% of the time. 78, yeah, lol, my math is terrible. And there is a significant portion that need to actually fold here. So they're going to have a flush 22.1% of the time, and they're actually going to end up folding a fair amount as well. If we filter for this, we're supposed to get 17.1% of the flushes to fold. That's 17.1% of the 22% that they have where they actually have a made flush. So on this river, I agree that the overbet is way better. And actually, I think our play is very good. The play is much better as an overbet because it's a more believable representation of what we have. So I like that a lot, but we're nailing it. We're all in here for 10 big blinds with 9-6 of hearts. Now, this is definitely Nash. However, I just want to double check against the optimal. It's 100%. Now, guess what he had, guys? Guess what he had? Oh, ace king. Yeah, cool. When we get called, I don't expect them to have a worse hand, obviously, but the frequency we're running into the top of people's ranges is kind of nuts. So we go check, check here. Our opponent barrels. I think this time we might have floated. And then on the river, oh, this is the Jack High hero call. So again, I don't think Jack High wants to hero call here. This is more for stream than anything else. But I wouldn't be surprised if King High and Ace High hero call here a decent amount. Let's take a look at the hand. Before we move on to this, I just want to point out the hearts have missed, the diamonds have missed, the straight draws have missed. There's many straight draws that have missed. Your opponent can have literally any 6 or 8 to bluff in this situation. They could have no draw or perhaps just the gut shot, I should say, that they're representing the made straight here. So there are many more bluffs here than you might anticipate. I think on the turn we play the hand correctly though. Flop, turn, river, perfect. River is obviously not a call. We anticipate this. Let's take a look at the actual solve here really quick. So once our opponent bets 6 on this river, the amount that we call here. So king queen calls, for example, right? It's better to have king queen as a hero call here rather than jack 10 because we want our opponent to have a 10 in their hand when they bet. We want them to have more misdraws, right? King 9 is a call at a decent frequency. Queen 9 is obviously top pair. Sorry, those are both top pairs, excuse me. King 9, queen 9. King queen suited is a hero call sometimes. Ace 3 is a hero call sometimes. It's going to be suit dependent, right? You don't want to block hearts or diamonds. Even though ace 3 with the ace of diamonds is a call at a fair whack as well. So our thinking in this situation is not that wild. Hero calling with jack 10 obviously is not a thing. It was more for the stream than anything else. But calling with high cards shows you how close we get to actually making a call with a hand as weak as jack 10. So I'm not signing off on this in any way, shape, or form. But like I said, it's not that insane to have a hero call in this spot. Right, so this was the hand in question. PTR brought this one up, I think. Yeah, so it is 13 big blinds. It's 12 plus 1. I'm pretty sure that this might sneak into a very, very close call. But it's going to be just outside. Yeah, okay, cool. So if we take a look at the actual full range here. King 7 suited is going to be the cutoff here. King 5 suited just a smidge out here. It's fine. Cool, good stuff. Okay, almost done, guys. The rest are going to be pre-flop, I think. Min raise, call. Okay, so this is an interesting one. We flop the straight jar. We can check raise flop, I believe, but we end up calling. Our opponent does barrel turn. The 9, I think, is a good card for our opponent to bluff. And we end up jamming. I don't know if this is a thing or not on this texture with this setup, but there's too many issues with this to worry about it that much. One of the issues that I have with this particular spot is that our opponent is going to have either very strong cards or the correct range. So on the turn, we play it as a check, our opponent bets, and we simply fold. This is not unsurprising to me. I think as a play against the regs that we play against, this actually probably outperforms. Simply because I think that we do get more folds, but don't know, probably not good. Right, so all in, we min raise 2 all ins. This is going to be a slam dunk call. I don't know why we're looking this up. It's a perfect play, even though our opponent has kings every time. 9-10 suited all in here against 2 shorter stacks. This is going to be 100% frequency as well. 100% frequency, we run into a monster. King 10 suited, our opponent raises, we 3-bet jam. This is going to be 100% frequency, and we're going to be running into a monster again, I'm imagining. Perfect play, our opponent has ace king, we're dominated again. Unmarked hand, queen 6 now. We jam, our opponent jams for 8.5. Queen 6 has got to be a call for 6.5 against reg. And we run into a monster, I imagine, or a dominating hand at least. Perfect play. Our opponent ends up with ace jack. Great. So we've confirmed all these spots as well. And that was a very good study session. We actually crushed most of those spots. In the spots where we've deviated, we've either discussed why we think we agree with the system or why we've specifically deviated for a specific exploit purpose. I would say we played a very good session today. And again, our results are just not a reflection of how strong we were playing in general. Very frustrating, but I have to clock off now, guys, because my family has arrived. Hello, Murphy Turner in the chat. Yeah, exactly, Ed. That's it. The jack and the 10 interfere with a good number of the hands that contain an 8 that block the straight. It isn't that a negative and strengthen their range? Correct. That's why it's better to have a high card that unblocks those hands that could be the misdraws. That's why jack 10 was a bit of a meme. I did say it at the time. I was like, this is definitely one for stream more than anything else, but the fact that king, queen, and ace 3 are calls shows that the high card is definitely of merit, and we certainly will have the best hand there of more than you'd expect. So let's clock off there, guys. My family is waiting outside. I love you all very much. I might have a stream tomorrow, but probably not. In fact, no, I can't. We're going to Edinburgh tomorrow. So I'll let you guys know when the next stream is going to be. Possibly Monday, probably Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of next week minimum. But for now, I'm going to clock off, and I'll see you guys next time. Love you. See you next time.